Reddit by Reddit recap. What knowledge might save your life one day? I read this possibly on another thread or even on this one. If you smell something close to fish or even urine, it's possible you may have an electrical fire. Electrical fires tend to smell like fish, and when exposed to high heat, urine, or maybe your cat had a snack and decided to pee on the carpet. And if you smell rotten eggs, it's natural gas. Get out immediately and call 911. In Australia you can always make calls to 000 regardless of whether you have signal credit. Your mobile will use any available network to connect you. In the US, this is also true of 911. If you are able to connect to any cell tower or Wi-Fi network from your phone, it doesn't matter if the phone even has a SIM. You're supposed to be able to contact 911. Likewise, if you're in Europe and you can't remember the emergency code, it's 112. In case you're wondering, call 911. It'll be picked up as an emergency number, and you'll be connected accordingly. The instinct of wolves will only cause them to hunt you if they can intimidate you into fleeing from them. Standing your ground against a wolf pack will be terrifying, but will eventually cause them to bugger off. Tigers as well. Don't turn your eyes away from a tiger. There is a story of a boy that had to walk backwards for 3 hours back to his village being stalked by a tiger. The cost benefit of a prey animal even slightly hurting a tiger is not worth it. It could mean a death sentence in the wild. Don't ever stop performing CPR on a person until the EMTs take their body away. CPR doesn't wake up a person. It's to force blood to their brain to prevent brain death so that the EMTs can revive that person. And find a CPR buddy to switch with regularly. Even if they don't know CPR, coach them through it. But if at all possible, don't do it alone. Why? Because it is super taxing and your arms will get tired and hurt really fast. And as said, you can't stop. I would add, don't stop CPR when the paramedics arrive. Keep going until they tell you they are ready to take over. Some of the kit takes a while to set up, so if you're doing it well, they will let you continue. If you're alone and start choking with nobody around to give you the Heimlich, you can give yourself the Heimlich by using the back of a chair, or similar objects like the side arm of a couch or whatever. Forcefully throw your stomach over the back of the chair a few times. Try to mimic the motion of the Heimlich, push in above the belly button, then up. Kind of like a J motion. Firefighter training. If there is a fire, crawl out of the building. Do not stand up to run. 1 or 2 breaths of smoke are enough to do major damage and require hospitalization, if you get out at all. It may be warm where you are crawling, but standing up can cook your skin and your lungs. The smoke at our level can be more than 600 degrees C, 1200 degrees F. If you can't see and don't know the room layout, crawl with your legs in front of you, sliding on your A. Do not crawl face first, or you may take a dive down a staircase in the confusion. This reminds me, if you're caught in a river, you may be tempted to doggy paddle to save energy. But you want to turn your body as best you can to float on your back, so your feet are in the direction of the current. Your feet will take the impact of any submerged rocks, etc. And you can push away from them rather than getting a head or chest injury. Know how to spot a stroke. An easy way to remember is the acronym FAST. Face is one side of your face droopy. Can you fully smile? Arms, can you hold your arms out straight? Speech, are you unintentionally slurring your words? Time, call an ambulance right away. Time is of the essence. If you've been carjacked and the carjacker tells you to just drive, take whatever chance you get to wreck. At minimum, you're getting emergency services involved, meaning it's more likely they'll be caught. And there's a chance you'll incapacitate or even kill the carjacker. Of course, there's also a chance that you might not survive. But if they are taking you to a second location, odds are you weren't going to come back anyway. If you're being choked, turning your head to the right or left will allow you to breathe. Go for the eyes. Furthermore, moaning yes daddy and winking at the attacker may give you the brief moment of confusion and shock you'll need to make that strike for the eyes. If someone threatens you with a gun or something and they want to move you to another location, your chance of dying goes up considerably if you agree to relocate. You've got to throw them off their rhythm. My father was an assistant DA who worked with homicide. He gave me this advice over and over. Years later, someone climbed in my car and threatens me with a gun. And I said no. Took the keys out and threw them. It wasn't a conscious decision. My dad had just hammered his advice in so hard that it switched on. The guy gets out without saying a word and runs. A friend was carjacked. Guy told her to start driving. So she did. Right into a cement pillar. Airbag hit the jacker and broke his arm. She ran into the store while he was disoriented. Kept hitting lock button on her key fob to keep him in the car until the cops showed up. Gun wasn't even loaded. Insurance elected to raise on her because of the accident, though. So that may not be the best way to handle it. Polar bears have insane ADHD. If one is chasing you, intermittently drop clothing items like a hat or gloves. It will stop to sniff them. Normal prey animals don't shed whole pieces of themselves. The bear will be perplexed. The human version of the gecko tail trick. Very clever. If it's brown, lie down. If it's black, fight back. If it's white, good night. Seriously, brother-in-law was up in the Arctic. They are scary creatures from the minute they see you, out in the open. They see you as meat. A friend who grew up in a rough neighborhood taught me this one. If you're on a bus and robbers get on, you have a chance of not having your stuff taken or being bothered at all if you pretend to be asleep. For all that it's scary for the passengers when 1 or 2 FAs with guns climb on a bus. It's also stressful for the robbers. They have to keep their eyes on a lot of people at once to prevent anyone from calling the police. Prevent the driver from signaling distress somehow. And prevent all passengers from reacting in dangerous ways. If you're asleep, that's one person less for a robber to manage. So they may not bother to wake you up and have another wild card to deal with. Just to get your phone and wallet. If the robbers get on and every single passenger is asleep, they may decide not to bother at all, depending on how widely the bus driver is grinning at them and how warmly it welcomes them into its domain. If you're being pulled out to sea by a current, swim parallel to the shore while letting yourself be carried out until you're out of its grip, rather than waste your energy fighting against it. If you're unsure about the movement of a tornado, put a straight object such as a tree or a street light in between you and the tornado. It'll make it way easier to see which way the tornado is moving. If the tornado appears to not be moving, it's coming right at you. This is the stuff that makes the hairs in the back of my neck stand up. I have never seen a tornado, but Jesus F. The thought of one coming straight at me is just so awesome and creepy. I remember reading in a Reddit post similar to this, that if you can't do a pull-up you probably won't have the strength to pull yourself up off a ledge, and that has stuck with me ever since. If someone gets stabbed, do not take the knife out if possible. If it stays in, it acts as a plug to the hole and will reduce blood loss. Apply pressure around the wound as best as you can and call an ambulance. If you have to get out of a moving car, then put one foot down and take a step. Don't just jump out. This will reduce your speed immensely. Sure, you will fall over, but at a much reduced speed. A stuntman told me this. What won't kill you in Australia? The wildlife. What will kill you? Getting lost in the outback. If you're lost and out of fuel, stay with your vehicle. Move as little as possible during the day and stay in the shade. Conserve water. Rip off wing mirrors to shine at any search planes. You can drink your urine approx 1-3 times before your kidneys start to pack it in. This is absolute last resort. To be fair, the wildlife can also kill you. If a canker sore in your mouth or on your tongue isn't healing in about 2 weeks, it might not be a canker sore. I'm going into surgery today, and they will likely remove 100% of my oral cancer because of early detection. Lock all your doors when you're in the house. No neighborhood is 100% safe. Funny story. Last year my parents went on vacation. I went to their house to mow the lawn or something. About 4 days into their trip, I pull up and the front door is wide open. Just the screen door was closed. I thought the house had been broken into. Turned out my dad forgot to shut the door. Best security tactic I've ever seen. No kidding. I work a night shift and was up at 3 AM watching TV. So all the lights in the living room were on. This is like a beacon for people looking to rob houses as they think the owners left the lights on to go on vacation. Had some guy knock on my front door to see if anyone was home before he busted in. I then heard the handle jiggle. Needless to say, he was quite surprised when I responded along with 3 Great Danes. More than he bargained for, and he tried to play it off as he needed a ride into town. I live in a rural area and there isn't a neighbor within a quarter mile of me, let alone any sort of business. Wife called the cops but he disappeared before they got there. Best comment of the day. About the drowning. Never have I thinking it like that. Couple years ago I probably almost drowned in a pool that can make a wave like every 5/10 minutes. Not remember. It's exactly like that. I focus to try tiptoeing my foot to make my head out of the water surface as possible. It's full of crowd, and I just remember I don't make any noise at that time because to focus and probably thinking I'm not gonna drowning. So I'm not making a scene at all while the wave basically coming. They have siren to make the guests know for the incoming wave. I remember there is one pool guard that's staring at me so intense from the pool side. Luckily I'm at the side area of the pool as well, but the side is too high for me cause the pool basically keep going down. If you go much further, this guy stare at me like focusing at me while there are many others in the pool. At first I freaked out cause I think why this guy look at me like that. I don't know at the time he is a pool guard. Now thinking back at it, that guy probably saw me almost drowned and keeping his eyes on me until I get safely out of the deep water part. I'm really glad that guy really doing his job pretty well.